my name is Tina, and welcome back to my home and welcome to G Sport Hub. In case you missed in my latest video, I was in France and I was live reacting to the draw show as well as kind of making some predictions for World's Plains. It's quite lengthy, like 20 minutes long, and uploading it was also quite a journey. My hotel Wi-Fi went out, then my 5G didn't really have the best coverage in my hotel, so I literally had to go to the beach because that's where I got good reception so I could upload the video. Besides that, if you're curious about what do I think, what was the gut reaction, watch that video. Right now I want to talk about basically everything that happened since then, and also just what do I think of DFM. Let me just get into the first topic, because ever since the draw show, this is almost, I think, the most asked question or most misinformation I'm seeing online about what happened with DFM. If we are going back to MSI and think back again what happened, it was not a good tournament for DFM, but DFM had top laner Totsu as well as coach Kazu and Saros there. So what happened? This is not a question I can answer in super short version. If somehow you still don't know the whole story, and if you're real curious, I have an hour long of video explaining the drama, but a very short version is that there were a lot of internal issues. Later on we found out that not just in MSI, but even beforehand for the whole year, Totsu was harassed. It's called power harassment. It's a term in Japan, pawahara, but I don't know if power harassment is a thing in English. I mean, it's definitely a thing, I just don't know if the word is there. I made 1 hour of just talking about that. Totsu had a breakdown, it was all public, it was all on Twitter, it was all dirty, and as an outcome it was determined that yes, indeed, head coach Kazu and coach Saros were harassing Totsu, and because of that they were actually banned for quite a while and fired from the FM, as well as Totsu is obviously not playing, he is still healing up and since then have been released from the FM. So in the middle of summer split we have 1 less top laner and 2 less coaches. What then? That's why in the finals you could have seen this kind of weird team. Yutapon in the top lane, even though he is also a top laner. I have said this multiple times. I'm kind of gonna come back to this a little later. Yutapon was playing in the top lane in the LJL Finals, and Milan, their substitute AD carry, was playing as AD carry. This team, in actually a very hard-fought battle, has won LJL Finals 3-2 and qualified to Worlds. During this period, ever since the coaches were fired and the finals, their coach was Gizmo, who used to be the FM's analyst and basically took up the coaching. And actually, he is also now the coach of Team Japan in Asian Games, because that also used to be Kazu, but obviously he's not anymore, so that's also Gizmo, and he is in China right now with Yutapon and the other members of Team Japan. After LJL Finals though, DFM got the permission to sign new players and new stuff, and that's when the new players come into picture. Let me introduce you first of all to Apaman, the new top laner. He retired about 1 or 2 years ago. He used to be one of the most well-known names in Japan. He's definitely a veteran and he used to be really good. Used to be, because ever since he retired, he didn't really play League of Legends. He went into coaching in Wild Rift for actually USG, his older team in League of Legends. So he was coaching in Wild Rift, and only after DFM signing him, he came back to League of Legends and started actually practicing. But also we're going to talk about this one as well later. As for the coach, Gizmo went back to being an analyst, or I don't know if he's going to be on stage, but definitely he's not a head coach anymore, because there's a new head coach, Vivid, who used to be a legendary support in LJL before, and he ended his military services in Korea, I think sometime this year, early this year, and now he is back as a coach. He's going to be the head coach for the DFM in Worlds. So now you can see this team: Apaman in top, Steel in jungle, Arya in mid lane, Yutapon and Milan in AD carry, Harp in support, and Vivid as head coach, and Gizmo as just analyst and coach. Again, I'm not sure if he's gonna be on stage, but he is in Korea with the team. Okay, now let's get into scrims. Wow, that's every single time when Worlds comes around, people are just getting super crazy over scrims. Scrim box. In case you don't know, Scrim box basically means like Scrim money, which is just a funny term that take everything with a grain of salt. Scrims are obviously not super indicative of what actually gonna happen on stage. We have a lot of examples of teams, for example, having 80% or something Scrim win rates, like FPX when they bombed out of Worlds. Basically, there is no real correlation, but it's still kind of fun to, think about it, just as a fun experiment. After the whole Totsu incident, obviously, understandably, the DFM didn't have a fan meet for quite a while, like 2 months, and they finally just had a fan meet, like a week ago? I think about a week ago. And we have some new information. Again, these are just screenbox, so don't read too much into it. But according to the FM, I think the first one who said it was maybe Harp, but then Gizmo also agreed to it, so it seems to be credible. They mentioned that they had a 50% win rate against CFO in scrims. Because in case you don't know, usually LJL, VCS, and PCS, these 3 regions are scrimming each other throughout the year. I don't know the time frame. I think definitely not after the draw, because after they knew they're gonna play against CFO, they probably didn't scrim. So I just assume it's either summer before the draw or maybe even the whole year. Only thing they said is that they had about a 50% win rate against them in scrims. And also when I shared this post on Twitter, CFO head coach himself replied with like lol. So it kind of shows me that it's not like they were either super dominant, but DFM said that they are confident they can win. I think this match is going to be a lot more interesting than some people would suggest, especially after DFM's controversies. Maybe some would say that it's going to be an easy walk in the park for PCS. And also it's a B3, so let me just have a take. I don't think it's going to be a 2-0. Hopefully it's not going to bite back to me, but I think it's going to be an interesting game. Now, because they just said 50% win rate, they didn't specify which time frame. We don't know if this was with Totsu or without Totsu. But here's the thing. If we are talking about scrims, another question that I get a lot is, or maybe not even just in a question form, but I see a lot of times on Reddit and social media that Yutapon on the top lane and Yutapon like this top lane, Yutapon that top lane. Just today, I actually got sent a clip from Kadrol talking about that there is a new technology in scrims, the top LeBlanc, which is, in case you're not familiar, that's one of Yutapon's specialties in the Japanese solo queue. So understandably, a lot of people have been texting me like, oh my god, have you seen this? Have you seen this? He has to talk about Yutapon. I have to say something. I don't want to leak too much, obviously, but this is basically from public information. Most likely, DFM is screaming with Upperman on the top lane and Yutapon as AD carry. I made a little program that visualizes when each player plays in solo queue, and DFM usually have 2 screen blocks in the afternoon. It's very visible if you just look at the little graph that Milan is the only one who is in solo queue, while everyone else has a very, very sharp cut whenever there is a screen block. So we can conclude just from this information alone that at least for now, DFM was screaming with Upperman top and Yutapon AD carry, and because of that, even if the top LeBlanc appears in scrims, it is not from Yutapon, unfortunately. But just a little fun fact, because if you're following also Asian Games, which is happening in like 3 days, if you're following Asian Games, you know that Yutapon was one of the representatives. So Yutapon is not in Korea right now, Yutapon is in China, and because Yutapon is in China, he is not gonna scrim with others. He also had to fly back to Japan to then go to China. It was a little weird how he was making this journey. He was on his solo queue and scrims obviously for quite a few days, and for that duration of time, for about like 4 scrim blocks, DFM was actually screaming with Upperman top and Milan AD carry. Even if Milan is not gonna play at Worlds, which seems to be the case right now, at least he was getting a few blocks of experience in just against, international teams. So that's great. I just wanted to add this. Still, I think from the looks of it right now, DFM is mainly screaming with Upperman top and Yutapon AD carry whenever he's available. So I would think that this is gonna be the team that goes on the play-ins. But because they have Milan as a substitute, I would expect as soon as we get to Worlds towards that part, maybe we're gonna see some Yutapon top lane as well. I will make most likely another video just right before Worlds, so whatever happens, I'm gonna talk about it there. Right now, it seems to be that Upperman is gonna be the top laner, and the top lane LeBlanc is coming from someone else. it's definitely interesting. And another interesting, just a super random fun fact, if Yutapon plays at Worlds, he's gonna be the oldest ever player to play at Worlds. And even if he doesn't play, it's gonna be a new record with CoreJJ. So whatever happens, there is gonna be some of a record breaker of the oldest Worlds player. Now, another topic, we have a few today, is the solo queue, Korean solo queue, because I have been spectating the DFM members on the Korean solo queue, both on this channel and on my Twitch. Maybe some of you have watched it before. I'm also adding chapters to all the VODs on YouTube, so if you wanna check out some of them for the full length, they are available. But just to sum up some of the interesting parts that I've seen and heard from other people, Yutapon has had like a super long streak of just spamming Senna. And not like an AD carry Senna, it's a fasting Senna obviously, but just as a support. He was not playing with the Tomkench, he was just queuing up as a support and playing with the normal AD carries. And some of the games that I've seen, at least, he was hard carrying even more than the AD carry itself. It definitely looks very strong, and I have heard from people that Senna Tomkench is appearing in scrims, not just from DFM. I heard just in general, Senna Tomkench is there, so we will probably see, even if maybe not with Tomkench, Senna will be at play-ins. Maybe fasting Senna with Tomkench, or maybe the support is gonna play Senna with some other AD carries. Yutapon has been spamming Senna, but ever since like a few days ago, Harp has also started spamming Senna, so both of them can play Senna. There's this flexibility in the FM. We are gonna see Senna. I can guarantee we're gonna see Senna. Okay, so what else did I wanna talk about? Asian games. Next topic, Asian games. What is it gonna do to Yutapon? Now that's a big question. To my current knowledge, and this is something that can change every single day, to my current knowledge, people who are playing in Asian games right now don't have Chinese accounts. The Korean players are still playing on Korea, even after arriving to Hangzhou. So I don't know what's happening, but Team Japan is not playing on the Korean accounts, they're not playing on their Japanese accounts. So my assumption is that they're not gonna play solo queue for a few days. If they lose to Vietnam, they can technically travel back to Korea, like on the 26th. If they advance from there, they're gonna play like a few more games. So it's very up in the air what's gonna happen. I don't really know how much of a nerf it is to them. DFM has more off days during this time. They have Scrim Milan, as I said before, but you could see, for example, Milan, as just as today, he was flex queuing with some of his friends from Japan. I think I've also seen Yutapon playing some Valorant, so they have more off days, which is, we have time until Worlds. It's not like a doom take that because of Asian games, they're suddenly gonna just be horrible at Worlds. Just saying that maybe this is the time when they're not practicing as much, and that's also why I made this video, because I don't really have games to spectate. And if we are at spectating, I'm so good with segues today. Just some fun memes that have been around in the Japanese community, just going into Worlds, you know, some of the fun stuff. I was spectating Yutapon when he had a 16-game loss streak in Korea. It has been a massive meme on forums. It has also been one of the center of jokes during the fan meet towards Yutapon. Yutapon even changed his account name in the Korean solo queue to 16 loss streak in Korean. So it was really funny, and also really funny that the 17 game, the game that he finally won and broke the streak, it was a top AD LeBlanc game. His famous top AD LeBlanc was the one that finally broke the streak, and also he's, by the way, on a win streak now with Senna. So there is that. Maybe loser's queue, winner's queue is actually real. Now, to end this video, just a few very quick questions, because I have been asking on Twitter if there is anything that you want to know. And if there is anything more that you want to know, more than I was talking about here, feel free to leave a comment or DM me on Twitter, either on G-Sport Hub or on my main account, which is lonely LNLY Hikikomani. Leave me a DM somewhere. I'm also open to talk if you want to talk about DFM on Discord. If you're a journalist or a broadcast talent or just a content creator, I am super happy to talk about all the memes, all the personalities, everything that's going on with DFM. But now just some questions. I was asked, first of all, if Kuromi, my cat, is gonna still do the predictions as she was doing them before. To that question, I'm very happy to announce that yes, Kuromi is gonna predict for Worlds. And even more, just as a little extra, I think I'm also gonna bring in one of her dog friends, a little puppy, who is also gonna do predictions, and maybe they're gonna, predict, contest each other. Let's see who's gonna have more predictions correct at the end of the tournament. So Kuromi is gonna do predictions, and most likely also one of her dog friends. Another thing is, after I was live viewing both the LLA finals and obviously the LJL finals, it is a question that, am I gonna live view DFM matches at Worlds? Yes! I'm very happy to announce that I will be live viewing DFM games on Twitch, just on Twitch, during Worlds. I don't know how many games they're gonna play, hopefully a lot, but I will live view them, and if there are fun highlights, I'm gonna make YouTube videos out of them, similar to LJL Finals as well. And finally, I actually got a great question on Twitter, so let me just read it out. Hi, I'd like to know what this Worlds mean to both DFM and LJL in general. Like NA fans, I root for LJL every Worlds because they're the underdogs, but I don't really know what the end goal of LJL is. Are they already approved their skills? Does LJL one day want to win Worlds? To which the answer is yes, I would love to see LJL win Worlds one day. Realistically speaking, and I think every single LJL fan is about the same on this topic, we just want to see the players do well. For example, when Aurea went to KT, LJL fans were happy because Aurea, a player who has been flourishing in LJL, who has made a name for himself in LJL, made the jump to LCK. It's a kind of a mixed feeling. We were sad that he is leaving, obviously, and we is happy that he is back, but we were also happy that he could make the jump and play in LCK. The same goes for Abby. I don't know what's going to happen to him next year, but everyone was super happy to see Abby make the jump, make the name for himself, be on the big stage with the big boys. Even though LEC games were super early, like 2 a.m., sometimes 5 a.m. in Japan, so many people were watching LEC just for Abby. We want to see these players in the biggest stage possible competing. And just things like there is this very famous story about Yutapon that he is actually radiant in Valorant. He is global elite in CSGO. He's not playing CS2 to my knowledge, but he was global elite in CSGO. He was rank 1 among Japanese players on the Asian Overwatch server, and he's like speedrunning games sometimes just randomly on stream. So he is known to be an actual gamer god. And also, by the way, he just won like a bunch of titles. So whenever a journalist talks about it, whenever I see all these like achievements mentioned in a website, it always makes me happy knowing that yes, he made a name for himself. And let me just make a comparison. I'm sorry, it's going to be really different levels, but it's somewhat similar to what happened in 2018 when IG won Worlds. After that, there was like a massive queue, like actually hours long queue to just get into the game of League of Legends, because their achievements made a lot of Chinese fans get even more interested in League. They wanted to play because they had seen IG winning Worlds. Lot lesser degree. But whenever DFM made groups, I know a lot of people jumped into League of Legends, even some streamers, for example, who never touched League of Legends, because DFM making into groups at Worlds was the news that was covered by some even TV channels. Some people think that they were like, I wanna play League of Legends. Any achievement like this, or whenever we took one game off RNG, these always just put the thought into people's, not hard, but mind, I guess. These always put the thought in people's mind that they want to play League of Legends, they want to follow the scene because it is fun to see these people who you have some kind of connection with succeeding in bigger stages. So that was actually a very long answer. I'm sorry. So thank you very much for watching this video. It was really fun to make, and as I said before, I'm planning to make one more just right before Worlds, talking about like maybe if there is any new technologies, or if I know something more about the scrims. But again, don't get your hopes up of some LeBlanc top lane from Yutapon, because right now likely Aquaman is gonna play top and Yutapon is gonna play AD carry. With all that being said, I'm Senna from the G Sport Hub. At the G Sport Hub on every single social media. Follow us there, because we're gonna post a lot of things about Asian games and then Worlds when it comes around. I just can't make short videos, I'm sorry. See you on the Korean Spectator streams.